Right now, misinformation spreads faster than facts, especially on the most sensitive global stories. NVP uses uncensored AI analysis to verify the most controversial topics and separate signal from propaganda in real time. Instead of guessing who to trust, you can see structured verification and analysis behind every major issue.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another live stream and thank you so much for tuning in to another show. As promised, this is the second live stream with the night attacks that are taking place and landing on the heads of the Epstein regime forces in 27 bases according to the IRGC. Multiple parts in the Middle East are being attacked, with officials from the United States being attacked and the United States confirming that they had 3 people killed and several others wounded. But the IRGC said that it's over 560 Americans killed and wounded due to these attacks, not only on the bases, but through targeted assassination strikes, whether through Shahid drones or any other missiles attacked of the American locations, officials, and locations that they were in across the Middle East. In the meantime, the embassies and the bases of the United States are getting hammered, are getting literally destroyed. One ammunition location in the Erbil province of Iraq was completely wiped off, like the one in Kuwait or even more than that. And Iran is using new missiles that Israel says it has never seen before. A multi-warhead missile landing and multiple hits in the occupied territories. So we're going to go through all of the, of course, videos, because tonight it's going to be slightly ongoing because there are developments as we speak on the ground. More videos coming, especially from the occupied territories, and I'm going to talk to you about the embassy and consulate attacks. Pakistan is raging against the American consulates and embassies with the second attack now. Hezbollah supporters in Lebanon reportedly attacked the American embassy, and it's only getting worse for Donald Trump, who's now claiming the Iranians want to talk. He's saying the Iranians want to talk. I'm willing to talk. Dude, no one wants to talk. They were talking to you. What he's saying is basically they're getting hit so much that they want to talk with Iran with no plan. USS Abraham Lincoln is now leaving after the 4 ballistic missiles hit it before from the IRGC. It's now confirmed to be leaving. The Hormuz Strait is shut. That's it. Donald Trump's going to wake up to a stock exchange that he's not going to like tomorrow. And the Israelis are wailing. A chosen cry. Chosen cries. You know, how can you... Look, Iran targets civilian buildings. And I'm going to tell you also about a report that that place where I mentioned before, where at least 20 Israelis were killed and many were missing under the rubble, there were reports online that it was relatives of Benjamin Netanyahu. Unconfirmed report, but these were circulating reports. And again, we wouldn't be surprised because listen, these people, they don't admit many things. The head of the 8,200 unit was assassinated by Hezbollah before and never seen afterwards. They don't admit. They hide these things. But the United States is at least saying, and the attacks in the UAE, by the way, one of them was against the Israeli consulate, according to recent reports. And Iran isn't stopping the attacks against all of the American assets in the region without any sort of stopping whatsoever. As in, Iran is reaching a level now where nothing is stopping its attacks. This has been clarified slightly by none other than the foreign minister of Iran. The foreign minister of Iran made a statement that was very interesting in relation to the capability of Iran to continue and conduct attacks against Israel and the United States even after all of these attacks that are taking place against Iran itself. And what he said is Iran is basically studying, or Iran has studied the defeats of the United States for 2 decades. We've had 2 decades to study defeats of the United States military to our immediate east and west in reference to Afghanistan and Iraq. We've incorporated lessons accordingly. Bombings in our capital have no impact on our ability to conduct war. Decentralized mosaic defense enables us to decide when and how war will end. Now, we've been speaking about Iran's decentralization and the stupid and quite ignorant notions from the Zio heads about attacking Iran and taking down their capabilities when they're really completely detached from the facts on the ground, how Iran operates from a leadership perspective and from a command perspective and from a military perspective. They know nothing but bark Zionist garbage 24/7. And we can see the proof of the ground. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. The American bases are on fire. The genocide state is on fire. Explosions landing on the head of the pedophile child murdering entity. And the Epstein regime is now actually trying to say that Iran wants to talk. No, it's you who wants to talk. You want to talk, but that's not necessarily going to be the case. This was one of the recent missiles that landed in occupied Jerusalem. And there were, of course, more videos coming in about the missile itself that landed in Jerusalem. And we can see clearly from the next video how the decrepit, pathetic anti-missile air defense system of Israel failed. Have a look at this video. So 4, 5, 6, 7 missiles, how many? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the number of missiles that Israel tried to launch here and what happened exactly. So we have 1 missile landing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 missiles going up. And what was it? A prayer that the Iranian made on the missile to avoid the Zionist curse and go down in Jerusalem? Or was it another pathetic failure from the so-called hermetic air defense system of the Zionists? They told you we have arrow and David sling and the iron foam and what have you. Nothing happened. These are the initial moments of the landing in Jerusalem.
פה, רמת שלמה פה, כניסה לרמת שלמה פה. הנה הפר, הרכב, כולם בסדר, אחד יצא. הנה הפיר. הנה מגיע עכשיו כל ההצלה. איזה שוק. איזה הזירה. פה, רמת...
איזה שוק. They're shocked. Oh my God. Someone is launching missiles at us when we just killed their children. Why do they do that? They do that because you kill their children. In the meantime, the Zionists are fleeing from occupied Palestine to European destinations in Cyprus and Greece and in multiple other parts. If you're in Europe, make sure you go and welcome them in the airports. The recent publication of this data monitoring, is showing many planes leaving. I wonder why. This land was promised to you several thousand years ago. Sometimes you say 2, sometimes you say 3,000. Then why are you leaving? Why are you leaving the country that was promised to you thousands of years ago? That shows you how quickly these people leave the country. Now, during the 12-day war, Israel officially banned the flights going out of Israel because they didn't want people to leave. Unfortunately, that didn't really work too well, because afterwards people started leaving too. However, now they are leaving from the beginning because everything is open. And Iran just introduced a new missile. They launched a new missile to Israel, and the Israelis were pleasantly surprised by this missile in what they described as an unprecedented attack that caused multiple explosions and fires and damage in scattered parts of the central cities of Israel. Let's have a look at this missile.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Ya Allah.
Allahu Akbar.
So that's the new missile that Iran sent. Israel said it had unprecedented damage and they couldn't really deal with it, with this missile. And there were, of course, images and footage of the damage and fires all across the country, as we can see in the next video. So thankfully, sometimes when people talk about missiles landing, if it wasn't, by the way, recorded, the Israelis would deny. That's why they can deny the level of casualties, for example. But thankfully, with the evidence on the ground that I'm just sharing with you, it's impossible for them to deny. This multi-warhead missile landed and it clearly caused a lot of damage. I mean, substantial damage inside of Israel. There's another angle of the missile landing. Have a look at this. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 26 additional or missiles exploding from within, because it's a multi-warhead missile. And again, where is the Iron Dome? Where are the detection systems? Where is the defense systems? Where's the multi-layered defense that Israel speaks about and brags about, and that mainstream media boasts about? Oh, the Iranian missiles don't do anything. They're pathetic. There's no reason for them. And it's very important for people to contextualize when they ask about the Iranian air defense systems that are supposed to be, well, not at the same level as the Israeli ones, according to what we know. I mean, they have solid defense systems in Iran. But the thing is, this is how it works. Nothing is 100%. And this proves that the most advanced systems that Israel even exports to many other countries, including India, which is the biggest importer of the Israeli military-industrial complex, and the American systems too, they fail with one missile. That is one One multi-warhead missile. Could be a Fattah, a Khurram Shahar, whatever it is that Iran is sending. They have many missiles with multiple capabilities and different brands and sub-brands that they send to Israel. So clearly they don't have an answer. They like to portray as if they have the superiority and the upper hand. They don't have the upper hand. They don't have the upper hand. And unfortunately, some people fall into the false narratives of, well, what are we doing? What are the Iranian missiles doing in Israel? Well, the Palestinian resistance and the Lebanese resistance and Yemen and the Iraqi resistance managed to land missiles. You think Iran isn't going to do that? The state of resistance isn't going to be able to do that? This was another video of the same missile. And of course, in the West Bank, the people were celebrating in the occupied West Bank. Now, some of the previous missiles, according to some reports, over 40, that's from the morning. We still haven't spoken about the statistics of the night. But from the morning attack of Iran, that is proving to the whole world that it is so capable of conducting attacks and having this war of attrition against the child-killing pedophiles in the Israeli and American regimes, that they're able to conduct a prolonged attack against them. Let's remember that this campaign is because the United States has a president who is blackmailed by the Zionists because he's mentioned in the Epstein files and he potentially raped and killed girls and abused them, according to that information. If the United States authorities did their job and didn't have a system where it's completely owned by the Zionists, then we wouldn't have been in this situation. Hell, the Palestinian resistance would have defeated Israel with much less capabilities had it not been for the constant American support, because they worship Zionists and they're all blackmailed and bribed. From AIPAC to other organizations, and now Benjamin Netanyahu has Donald Trump on a leash, literally on a leash. Earlier, I spoke to you about the secret meetings that the United States Army has, and no meeting, as confirmed by inside sources, is done or conducted without the presence of the Israeli side. What kind of an independent country is that? What kind of a country is this? It would be understandable if they have joint meetings, some joint meetings, but none of the meetings are excluding Israel. All of the meetings are including Israel. Who makes the decisions? Who makes the decisions in the United States of America? That's why people need to understand this. And Iran is starting to use, we spoke about this as well, and we have more footage as well. Iran started to use its fighter jets, the F-4 Phantoms, F-14, F-5 Tiger, MiG-29, Su-29 Mk, and Su-35s that were bombing American bases in the Middle East. These were the preparations of the bombings that were published later on during So these fighter jets were seen inside of Iran, and they later on went to have these attacks against the American assets across all of the region. And the funny thing is, we had this situation, and there were no reports about the United States intercepting the Iranian fighter jets. Imagine that. So did Iran do this now deliberately? Because yesterday they targeted the early detection radar systems in Bahrain, North Qatar, and in other parts too. One of them costing $1 billion US. You know that drone that landed could be, because then they blinded the US forces, and today they're traveling freely in their fighter jets to attack every American base in the region, with confirmed reports now that USS Abraham Lincoln started to leave the region. According to some reports, after the 4 ballistic missiles targeted USS Abraham Lincoln, it started to make its way out of the region, because clearly, they don't want to have severe losses. Iran has the capability to take it down. They just showed them how now. And if the United States wants this aircraft carrier to be above seawater rather than below it, then they need to withdraw. They can't remain there. If they do want to continue their attacks against Iran, then they would have to leave if they don't want to be attacked by it. Now, there were multiple attacks against American assets. There were attacks against U.S. bases. There were attacks against U.S. embassies, U.S. consulates as well in the region. But the most severe one was an ammunition depot of the United States that is based in Erbil in Iraq. And it caused a lot of damage, that strike. It caused severe damage to the location, and there were secondary explosions coming following that attack on that location, which was conducted, according to some reports, by the Iraqi resistance, which would indicate that we're talking about a new type of situation now that we got in. One of the videos that were released showed the initial strike, and then I'll show you the damage that happened after that strike took place, as we can see in this video over here.
والله ليا أود كلي رشة جماعة أو ليا ويتخاني والله ليا أود كلي رشة جماعة أو ليا.
So that was the initial explosion. Now there are close-ups to show what was the damage that this explosion caused. And again, according to some reports, it was the Iraqi resistance that actually had this attack. Let's have a look at it from a close-up and see exactly what happened there. Again, it's an ammunition depot that belongs to the United States. So it's a US base that has an ammo depot. So very serious damage that it caused to that base. And there were also videos of some of the after effects following the drone attacks against the US bases in North Iraq, as we can see in this video. So significant damage, there's substantial damage happening in those bases in Iraq. another video showed what happened afterwards as well. So that was just one of the bases that the Iraqi resistance, according to some reports, attacked. And Iran also attacked. Now, the Iranian army declared that they took down 22 advanced UAVs of the enemy in the past 48 hours, in the past 24 to 48 hours. Some of the most advanced ones that were used both by the United States of America and Israel, the Epstein regime and the genocide state. The IRGC also currently surrounds more than 9,000 cargo ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is shut. Any ship attempting to approach will be targeted with missiles, as we saw with one of the tankers that was targeted. There are reports of the Iraqi resistance also targeting US troops concentrations in Jordan. There were strong explosions in Erbil, as we saw in the previous video, and the consulate in Erbil, and in addition to reports of Mossad hubs in Erbil, were targeted too, and an army base of the United States in East Jordan was attacked alongside the IRGC, confirming that they targeted at least 3 American ships, with some reports saying that they also targeted 1 British ship as well. So we're talking about Kuwait, American bases in Kuwait, in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, all across the region. And the Iranians, Ali Larijani clarified today that these attacks in the Arab states are against American bases, because American bases are used to conduct attacks against Iran, and they are American territories in your location, and therefore we attack them. Now you may wonder, how did the missiles look like when they left Iran? What kind of missiles they used? Thankfully, we have a video of the missiles being launched from Iran, as we can see here. So these were the missiles that were launched from Iran, some of the missiles that were launched in Iran against the genocide state and Epstein regime bases in the region. Things are escalating. Things are escalating also in Lebanon. there was a huge gathering of the people following the martyrdom of Sayyid Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, alongside, of course, millions in Iran, as I showed you in the previous day stream. Now people are out in Lebanon, and there were also reports of clashes taking place, and some of the Lebanese targeting the American consulate and embassy inside of Beirut. These were the protests. So people gathering in large numbers in Beirut, in Lebanon, in protest against this American-Israeli aggression against Iran. CENTCOM, they made a statement, Central Command, they made a statement. They said, March 1st, 3 U.S. service members have been killed in action and 5 are seriously wounded as part of the Operation Epic Fury, they called it. More like Epstein Fury. Several others sustained minor shrapnel injuries and concussions and are in the process of being returned to duty. Major combat operations continue and our response effort is ongoing. The situation is fluid. So out of respect for the families, we will withhold additional information, including the identities of our fallen warriors for the sake of Epstein and Trump, until 24 hours after the next of kin have been notified. They didn't add the section where, unfortunately for your children, they died because a blackmailed president raped American girls and he's being blackmailed by the Zionists who view him and you as a goy, therefore you don't deserve to live. They didn't add that part because they thought it would be irrelevant, a little bit too offensive for them. So they kept it short. They just kept it short. They didn't say everything or the main reasons why their children are dying there. You know, God forbid tell them that they are going on an illegal aggression against the country. Who do these people think they are? There's one main question here. Who do you think you are, and what entitles you to go and attack an independent country and assassinate its leader? Who do you think you are? And mind you, for anyone normalizing this, like those who normalize genocide in Gaza, you normalize the act itself. So don't cry when it comes next to your door. And you're seeing it happening in the United States of America. ICE agents shooting bullets in your head when you're protesting against their presence because they're trained with the same child killers in Tel Aviv and their registered details are in Tel Aviv. The United States is occupied. And the sooner you realize this and start talking about it, maybe you will prevent the catastrophe coming to your door. And guess what? We're seeing this. We're seeing this in the American streets. And they're American people. Even if the government tells you they are domestic terrorists, a woman driving in her car shot in the head, a domestic terrorist. A nurse who does his job and stands up against these atrocities is a domestic terrorist. Really? Americans. White Christian Americans, by the way, to be more specific, because, you know, some people tell you, oh yeah, they're fine with ICE in general. They weren't the people you call aliens, as reprehensible as that term is. It's coming. It's coming. And the sooner you talk about this, the merrier, trust me, for you and your children, because it's not going to end very well. If this continues, it's not going to turn very well. Now, Donald Trump and Netanyahu were calling on the Iranians to go and protest and take power in their own hands, and their Zionist mouthpiece agent Reza Pahlavi is now declaring himself to be the transition leader. We have people in Iran and we have people in the security forces, and we have a transition. Wants to make sure that they still support him, because some voices in America are casting doubt on his ability to be a leader in Iran. He's the same man who said 3 years ago, I don't know why I should actually go back to Iran. And they're asking people to go out to the streets. Well, guess what? The people in Iran are in the streets in their millions to support Iran, to support the Islamic Republic of Iran, and to also bravely stand up against the attacks. Unbelievable bravery from the noble, glorious Iranian people. And one of these protests were when the United States and Israel were carrying out strikes and the Iranian air defense systems were being deployed to counter these acts of aggression against them. Have a look at this video. So these are the Iranian people. They're out in the streets and they are challenging the American-Israeli aggression against them, chanting in the streets of Iran when they are being attacked. And it seems like the Iranian air defense systems are actually superior to the Israeli ones. We're actually seeing some interception. Maybe that's why Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu are worried in expanding this aggression against Iran, not only because of the mosaic of defense that the Iranian foreign minister spoke about, the decentralized mosaic of defense inside of Iran that protects and shields the country, but because they actually have advanced air defense systems inside the country to thwart continued aggression, or at least a large chunk of the aggression against them, because like I told you, nothing works 100%. So there is no such a thing in a war between two countries, armies, conventional armies, regardless of their strategic superiority, where everything is 100%. So for example, on the American-Israeli side, the strategic superiority is the Air Force. On the Iranian side, the strategic superiority is the missiles and the drones. But some missiles and drones won't necessarily land. Some of them will be intercepted. And some of the fighter jets and attacks will also be intercepted from the other side too. Now, the Israelis and the Americans are saying that they're conducting more attacks against Iran. Not to the level that, to be honest with you, we expected, not in the way that it's portrayed. Yes, there are images of certain attacks and explosions happening in Iran, but from the recent attack, that's not really the case. As a matter of fact, we're seeing Iranian solidarity. So apart from these people challenging the aggression, there were people in the streets as well, walking in the streets despite a war being waged against them from the United States of America and Israel, as we can see in this video. So the people of Iran are in the streets. They are in the streets, but not for the reasons that Netanyahu and Trump want. They're not there for that reason. And from the perspective of the United States of America, this is a disaster. If Donald Trump didn't really have a plan, look, to be honest with you, let me break it down for you very clearly and to prove again by the actions of the United States how Donald Trump actually didn't really want this. It's a rushed knee-jerk reaction to him being blackmailed from Benjamin Netanyahu. They have no plan. They're not talking about a solid, clear plan. They're not necessarily talking about a long-term war. They're only talking about weeks or months. No clear objectives. It's only Israel from unofficial sources saying that we want to take down all of Iran's military capabilities. Perhaps that's what they're hoping from the United States to do in Iran. They have no projections, and they're building a hope on internal action coming from Iran. When you have a military operation and you're building on certain hopes and delusions on a rebellion from within, a rebellion that you will not have, by the way, because all of your Mossad rats were hunted successfully by the Iranian forces, that means you failed on multiple levels. The first level is clearly Iran eliminated the rats from within. The rioters who were trying to wreak havoc last month and hijack the genuine protests of people who were concerned against and protesting against the economic policies of the Iranian government, who, by the way, took immediate action to address the concerns of the population and businessmen to do with transactions and anything to do with exchange rates and what have you. And that's the first thing. The second thing is, well, you're clearly not really going out on an all-out attack. Because to be fair, again, the United States has the capacity to attack more than they did. It's not that the attacks were like light. No, they had attacks in Iran, but they can do more. So why are they not doing more? They're not doing more because it's a knee-jerk reaction of a blackmailed president doing this for the sake of the Zionists who are using him just as a goy that they blackmail. And they are afraid of the Iranian air defense systems and capabilities in a long-term war. And no one is confirming that they are going on a long-term war with Iran. All of these things prove to the people that the story is completely contradicting the official narrative that's coming from US officials or Israeli officials or Zionist media or Zionist mouthpieces online trying to portray this as an attack to take down the Iranian establishment or what have you. This is a blackmailed president having a campaign for the sake of an external country, using Americans as cannon fodder, and he has nothing in it. As a matter of fact, he was speaking and he was promising his voters in his electoral campaigns that he's not going to be a president of war. You're not going to see any wars. He criticized Obama for his combat rhetoric with Iran at one point. He criticized Bush for the war in Iraq. And now what is he doing? He's engaging in wars for the sake of Iran. And that's why it's leading the Americans to do this. Withdraw because of the Iranian missiles. They're withdrawing because Iran is launching ballistic missiles. That's what. So the reports that are coming out of the USS Abraham Lincoln actually withdrawing from the region are, again, another proof that the United States doesn't really know what it's doing. If the United States really knew what it was doing and it actually intended to actually have this all-out action, then we would see something else, wouldn't we? We would have a situation where, well, you deploy more and Israelis will attack more. Something will happen, something more significant. Not a situation where they're just stuck in limbo and Trump trying to get out of it by deflecting and lying, typically, in saying that it's actually the Iranians who want to talk. I'm sorry, but no Iranian official spoke to you. Plus, stop lying. Iran, despite your lack of integrity, despite your backstabbing, despite the fact that you actually attacked Iran illegally with a Zionist attack against them, despite all of that, they were talking to you. Because Iran is a diplomatic country, it's a peace-seeking nation. And even the establishment Iran is willing to speak with the United States. The only side who they're not willing to speak with is Israel because they don't recognize it. People need to understand that very well. But they view the United States as the biggest sponsor of Israel. And that's why the Zionists try and influence the United States so much and are influencing the United States so much. Because they don't want the United States to have a deal with a country that doesn't recognize them. Otherwise, if the decision-making was purely in American hands that were clean from the Zionist filth, they would have had a deal with Iran. A long time ago, by the way. And of course, that's all despite the American meddling in Iran from the mid-20th century. In 1953, they had the Ajax operation against the Mossadegh government that was democratically elected, and it was a secular government, by the way. Not that they care, by the way, not that the United States cares about, when it suits them, when it suits their agenda, they're fine with any religious type of government and anything. So don't worry about any of that. Even Lindsey Graham said, we don't care if it's a religious or non-religious thing, so long as we have a deal with them. Why? Because they think they can have a deal with a leader there and replicate what they've done in Venezuela. Iran is not Venezuela. The Iranian establishment is not the Venezuelan government. They're not the same. You can't buy people there, and the options that Iran has, the capabilities that Iran has, are incomparable to any other country. As a matter of fact, Iran has the biggest arsenal of strategic missiles in the region. Now, as I said, I'm going to be sharing some of the videos as and when, and we're having more as we're speaking. We're having more footage coming out, despite the censorship, by the way. Thankfully, some people are still actually posting videos from the occupied territories. We have another video coming out from the recent explosion that took place in occupied Jerusalem. Despite Israel using all of its so-called 3 to 4 to 5 layer air defense systems. Have a look at this video.
Oh my God.
Whoa! Holy shit! Oh my God! Yo! No way! No way! No way!
Oh my God.
Whoa! Holy shit! Oh my God! Yo! No way! No way! No way!
Oh my God.
Whoa! Holy shit! Oh my God! Whoa! Whoa! Holy shit! Oh my God! 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 Yo! No way! No way! No way!
So as you can see, how many missiles were there? How many missiles were trying to intercept this missile? How many air defense missiles? Nothing. And some of them start to get launched after it, which proves a total failure of the Israeli air defense systems in intercepting any of this. They're failing miserably. It's not working with them whatsoever. And despite all of that, they're trying to portray this as some sort of a success. Now, Israel killed school girls in Iran, and the death toll reached over 150 in images that resemble what happened in Gaza. Schools, they target schools with girls in them. That's the American-Israeli aggression against Iran. 150 girls. And silence, of course, from the Zionist leaders, and no condemnation whatsoever. And it's not only that, not just elementary schools. They just recently targeted the Gandhi Hospital in Tehran. Have a look at this video and see what the Israeli-American aggression is targeting inside of Iran. So what did the hospital do exactly? You know, that's the question. And why are we not seeing this in mainstream media? Why are we not seeing the fact that they're targeting hospitals? Because they don't want to show you that. They simply don't want to show you that. Like they don't want to show you the lack of effectiveness against the Israeli missiles, as we can see in this video. And there were also, by the way, more images and footage coming from inside the hospital inside of Iran that was attacked, in particular the Gandhi Hospital, as we can see in this video.
وضعیت بیمارستان گاندی، وضعیت بیمارستان صاف زده بیمارستانو، وضعیت بیمارستان.
So that's what they're good at, targeting hospitals left, right, and center. Now, listen to the delusional Zionist Pahlavi and what he had to say in an interview earlier on.
Well, Maria, this is time now for a very strong, stable transition. I am leading this transition. I have the support of millions of Iranian people. I have the people inside the country that are joining and broadening the coalition of forces that will be at play in filling the boxes. The military will side with us, and we have a plan of action and a transition plan. As a matter of fact, I'm glad to hear what Senator Fetterman was saying. It's music to my ears. I always thought that it should be a bipartisan issue when it comes to America's national security interests.
Riza Pahlavi, aka Riza Pahlawan, isn't really meaning what he's saying. He knows that all of these things is garbage, because none of that is real. That's a third dimension reality that he lives in. But he's saying that because he's very worried. Why? Because Lindsey Graham said that we don't have a problem with the religious government. You see, and from their perspective, if Lindsey Graham says that, one of the hawks who actually wanted the war, then Riza Pahlavi, Zayo Riza, has to prove himself. He has to prove himself, and he has to show as if he has people on the ground and millions support me. Dude, you weren't in Iran ever in your life. When were you in Iran? Was he there? He wasn't there ever, Pahlawan. Pahlavi is always outside, and like I said, he said, what do we need to go there before exactly? But he's now saying that he has millions of supporters inside, millions of supporters in his dream. He's just trying to prove to the American side that he is eligible and he can qualify for it. He has what it takes. There are people around him, although what he really doesn't want to show, although he's being plastered everywhere because he's a Zionist stooge, the Zionists have control over him. because there are many opposition groups in Iran who hate the living daylight out of him. As a matter of fact, any national Iranian opposition views him as a Zionist pig. They don't view him as opposition. And if he would want to challenge anything, he wouldn't have any sort of support inside of Iran. That's why he wants to try and portray himself as a credible option to lead Iran. And that's why he's in Fox News. We've had more videos of failed THAAD systems failing to protect what appears to be a base in this video, as we can see. Let me share this video with you. So it wasn't just only the Israeli failures, it's the American failures with interception. Have a look at this video.
It is. Come on, motherfucker. Second. Come on. Get shot. Oh, fuck. Damn! No. I need a head count. I need a head count. I got one.
Was it just me, or did it appear that the American soldiers were having fun looking at the missiles landing? It looked like they were having fun. That, of course, was replicated in multiple parts in several attacks, which confirms again that it wasn't only the Israeli interception systems that failed, it was also the American THAADs that failed miserably. There was another video of the failed interception inside of Israel. That video is just coming out right now. Let me share that video with you.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh me! Oh my God! 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 Oh my God!
So that was another video of the failed interception inside of Jerusalem. And there was a new video coming out of the landing inside of Jerusalem and the damage that took place. Have a look at this video.
صاروخهم بالضبط قدامنا نزل بالضبط هي ضرب السياره هو بالضبط قدامنا نزل. انا عندي انكسر الازاز قدامي عم زور رموت. لا بنزل اشياء رموت. هاي الصاروخ هون بالضبط قدامي. طلع السياره
از خودم اخیر بشن مين اللي باقي على اللي باقي
صاروخهم بالضبط قدامنا نزل، بالضبط هي ضرب بالسياره اهو، بالضبط قدامنا نزل. انا عندي انكسر الازاز قداماني، عنزور رموت. لا بنزل اشياء رموت. هاي الصاروخ هون بالضبط قدامي. طلع السياره
از خودم اخیر بشن مين اللي باقي على اللي باقي
صاروخهم بالضبط قدامنا نزل، بالضبط هي ضرب بالسياره اهو، بالضبط قدامنا نزل. انا عندي انكسر الازاز قداماني، عنزور رموت. لا بنزل اشياء رموت. هاي الصاروخ هون بالضبط قدامي. طلع السياره
از خودم اخیر بشن
So back to Lindsey Graham. We spoke about the Zionist Reza Shah Pahlavi, who is portraying himself to be the leader, and why he was trying to convince people that he has millions of supporters inside of Iran. Listen to the following statement that came from none other than Lindsey Graham. Listen to Lindsey Graham and what he had to say.
To stop Hitler a bunch. Nobody wanted to. Well, learn from the past. So I talked to the Crown Prince. He's putting together some ideas about a transition, but I told him what I'll tell you. It's not my job to do this. It's the Iranian people's job. And I'd like to be helpful. I'd like to be a partner. But I don't know if he's the right man. That will be up to the Iranian people. I do know this, that the Ayatollah and his henchmen being in charge of Iran is a threat to you and your family. They really mean it when they say death to America, and we took that threat off the table today. We've got a ways to go, and if other people want to take over in Iran that chant death to America, they'll meet the same fate.
Isn't it hilarious if they chant death to America? Firstly, we all know by now what they mean when they chant death to America. It's not death to the American people. It's death to the American establishment that the same Americans chant death to. There's American resistance internally within the army against their own establishment's conduct. And the absurdity is he's saying, oh, we'll leave it to the hands of the Iranian people. The Iranian people were in their millions in the streets today. In their millions, the Iranian people were out today supporting the Islamic Republic of Iran against this attack against them from the Epstein regime and the Zionist regime. And they were supporting the establishment. But this shows you the internal division. There's a huge internal division and confusion and lack of clarity, because if you have a plan, if you want to go to a war with the country, you need to have a solid plan in place to what's going to happen after the missile attack, after the, what is it going to happen exactly? Clearly, they don't have a plan. And now, there were issues there were protests in Pakistan by the brave Pakistani people against the American hubs. And today, that extended to Karachi. Let's have a look at what happened in Karachi today. So the Pakistani people are literally in revolution mode now, with all of this aggression taking place against Iran. They are protesting, and some of them were killed, some of them were martyred. and it was insane. There was another video coming out, as we can see here. Have a look. So this literally turned into a literal rage mode against all of the American assets in the region, whether it's to do with bases, embassies, anything linked to the United States of America. There were also protests, of course, in Lebanon, protests in other parts too. In Iraq, they stormed some of the embassies, and they were calling to get it out. One of the actions happened in Lebanon. In Lebanon, there were reports of armed action being taken against the American embassy inside of Lebanon. And it wasn't only in Lebanon. There were also attacks in Iraq against the American embassy, and they actually went in and they started to seize some of the equipment in the American embassy in Iraq. So we're not only seeing attacks coming from the Iraqi resistance against American bases and ammunition depots that caused all of these explosions in Erbil. With the video that I showed you before, the people are out in the streets because of this hideous, barbaric act of the Epstein regime and the apartheid state against Iran by assassinating the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Let's have a look at what happened in Iraq near the American, or in the American embassy. So that was one of the videos. There was another video on a massive assault on the US embassy in Baghdad by the Iraqi civilians in another video, as you can see here.
خطای فتوح دیگر بگو به ظالم بگو به کافر بیا به میدان جنگ خیبر بیا به میدان جنگ خیبر 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 یا صهیون خیبر خیبر یا صهیون جیش محمد و قادمون جیش محمد و قادمون خیبر خیبر یا صهیون جیش محمد و قادمون جيش محمد قادمون خيبر خيبر يا صهيون جيش محمد قادمون.
So literally an all-out revolution in the Middle East against the Epstein regime presence, the US bases in the region, and all of the Israeli aggression that's happening against them. Which leads us slightly back. I'm going to share some more videos with you of the early attack, because there was new footage coming to reveal the level of damage that took place following the Iranian missiles landing in Israel, alongside reports, alleged reports. We can't confirm them, of course, but there were reports of some of the relatives of Benjamin Netanyahu being targeted. Now, Israel already confirmed that some of its officials in Abu Dhabi were targeted, which indicates that Iran has very solid intel against American and Israeli officials, like some of the attacks against hotels or other locations, non-military locations, were hubs where some of these officials were present at. And that could be the case as well with Israel, because it's only about having the identity of the people and having a certain hack where you can find out the information about them. Not particularly a difficult task. There were breaches in Israel, and they weren't by state actors. They were by the Lebanese resistance. They were by the Palestinian resistance. As a matter of fact, there are many Jewish Israelis ranging from 18 up to over 70 being imprisoned in a secret prison in North Israel because of their collaboration knowingly with Iran against the state of Israel and against Benjamin Netanyahu, against the fake entity and against the war criminal leading the country. And that has been reported in Israeli media. So you can just think, well, if they had that information and intel and they had people working from within, including people from the Israeli armed forces, then can they get the identities of relatives of Benjamin Netanyahu? Potentially. This was the scale of the damage. Have a look at this video from the earlier attacks today of Iran on Israel. So as you can see, they were also using heat detection to check if there were people still under the rubble, because there, according to some reports, there were 20 people under the rubble alongside 20 Zionists who were killed in this attack, 4 buildings completely destroyed in that particular location only. And if we think about it from a strategic perspective, like, why would they target that location? Iran's missiles can be very accurate, with very minimal missing radius. Could they actually have targeted someone because they knew he was living there? Is that a possibility? And the truth is, it is a possibility. I mean, why wouldn't it be a possibility? They've done that with multiple locations inside of Israel. They targeted multiple strategic bases of the Israeli terror forces inside of Israel, occupied Palestine, and that was confirmed. Now, the confirmation of Israel that several of its people were attacked in Abu Dhabi, next to their mission in Abu Dhabi, and led to some of them being wounded, was none other than the Israeli Broadcasting Authority. So we had a confirmation from the Israeli Broadcasting Authority. These, by the way, were some of the attacks that took place in Iran today. These were two of the attacks that took place in Iran that were published earlier on. So the Israeli Broadcasting Authority confirmed that it was in Abu Dhabi. Some of their people in a mission, in their Abu Dhabi mission, they were attacked. Which one was it? We had this video, for example. Could it have been this one? So that was only one of the buildings. You know, Burj Dubai was attacked. Multiple other locations were attacked. So which one was it? Chances are it could have been any of them. We saw many drones landing in multiple parts, and it was clearly targeting something here. It wasn't random, which again indicates that Iran has a lot of intel, a lot of knowledge. Now, moving back to the Iran, the Iranian people and the Iranian public support, right? Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu were asking people to go out in the streets. These were the people who were out in the streets. These were the Iranians who were out in the streets to support, after they heard the martyrdom of the supreme leader, to go out and support their country. So these were the Iranian people in the streets, the millions in the streets in Isfahan, in Tehran, in all across the country, to resist the aggression coming from the Trump and Netanyahu regimes against the Iranian people. Yesterday, when the attacks began against Iran, there were certain actions being taken by Iran immediately. Let's contextualize what happened to prove again of how sophisticated and advanced Iran's response was, and how none of the Israeli-American attacks against them damaged their capability to respond. Within minutes of the beginning of the attack, sirens were being heard in occupied Palestine. Iran started to immediately target multiple locations. One of the places they began with, to be more accurate, was none other than the 5th Fleet HQ in Bahrain. They later also targeted an early detection radar system, early warning radar system, alongside an early warning radar system in North Qatar too. But they didn't stop. And there were more videos being published this evening about the continued attacks of the warehouses of the 5th Fleet in Bahrain, as we can see in this video over here. So you can see the warehouse of the Fifth Fleet is completely burning, on fire completely. Like they haven't left anything from the Fifth Fleet HQ. Again, with no interception, nothing happening from the US forces. That proves that the Iranian attack is not only intended to send a message to the United States and Israel, but to cause significant damage. To cause significant damage that would really hurt the capabilities of the United States and potentially removing these bases from the region. Because think about it this way. Who would want to stay in any of these bases that are being attacked? 27, according to several reports, well, confirmation from the IRGC, 27 US bases were hit. Who would want to go and work there knowing that they are so vulnerable in face of the Iranian missiles coming? None of their protection systems work. No THAAD, no interception, no the USS Abraham Lincoln sitting there trying to... Nothing worked against them, which could really translate into a strategy. And that strategy from Iran would be, we don't want you here anymore altogether. You need to completely get out of the region. We don't want any American bases. And the people of the region don't want any American bases in the Middle East or the West Asian region altogether. That is something that is achievable, judging by how Iran is conducting these attacks, the intensity, the significance of these attacks indicate how powerful and capable they are. More videos are coming now. That's why I told you it's going to be ongoing tonight, slightly ongoing. Are coming out of the Israeli ambulance. This was literally seconds ago, rushing to a scene where an Iranian missile landed, indicating there were a lot of casualties. Have a look at this. It's just going out now. This is a mass casualty event. I mean, you can't translate that as anything else. No number of ambulances goes out with this quantity for something basic. We clearly had a situation where there was a mass casualty event, and the Israelis are sending all of the ambulances to the scene. Clearly, many were killed in one of the recent attacks. Now, 29 seconds ago, also, the IRGC said, so simultaneously with this video here, IRGC said that Wave 9 from True Promise 4 targeted locations in the occupied Palestinian lands and the American bases inside the region. And a recent confirmation coming from the British Prime Minister is talking about the United Kingdom allowing the United States now to strike Iranian missile sites. British Prime Minister says that the move is for the collective self-defense of long-standing friends and allies and protecting British lives. Yes, of course. I wonder why he wasn't so militant when the Zionist child murderers killed British aid workers who were ex-armed forces, special forces actually, when they were in Gaza deliberately. and why he didn't condemn anything and continued to lick the boots of the Zionists. Because Keir Starmer is a child-killing murderer who is a participant in the genocide, the Zionist stooge planted there by the Zionist lobby, who is now potentially sending Brits to be killed. I mean, he's making British people targets for an Iranian aggression. And everyone who is participating in that circus needs to rethink their strategy, because they're going to be on the hit list of Iran. That's what you have. Now, moving back to the urgent situation, IRGC said that the 9th wave began of True Promise 4 targeted locations in the occupied territories, which is showing that Israel is facing a continued non-stop attack throughout the day and throughout the night from Iran. And the waves are non-stop. And by the way, there were reports, now Starmer is saying that they're going to participate. There were reports that the RAF base in Akrotiri, after those statements from the UK, or before, because Starmer could have already allowed, I mean, he's a genocide participant. There's no denying that he supported Israel and the US. At the end of the day, the US will do whatever it wants with him. Of a UAV attack in Cyprus, according to, but again, it's according to the pathological liars. So, you know, guess what? But that's again after Starmer said that they will allow the United States to use their sites. As a matter of fact, now there were some videos circulating, and new videos being published of this supposed UAV attack in Cyprus coming from Iran after Kid Starver said that the UK will allow US to use its bases, as we can see here. This was just recently published, by the way. Can't really confirm the validity of it, but there are some reports coming out, and Israel in the meantime is still in that emergency situation following the new wave of Iranian missiles landing in Israel. Another attack just took place now. This is just coming in the American military wing of the Baghdad airport. This is the American military wing of the Baghdad airport. And an attack came reportedly from Iran against it, but I would assume that it's likely to be internal Iraqi movements. I think that they're very well equipped. They're more than capable. They have drones, they have missiles, and they have the capacity to attack American assets in Iraq. So I wouldn't be surprised if this attack on the military wing of Baghdad airport, again, which is ridiculous. Look at how the United States is occupying so many countries across the world. It's bizarre. And then some people are crying like, oh, why are you attacking these countries? Dude, because you have an American base there. But they don't tell you anything. They stay silent when the American bases are used to kill children and people in the region and commit acts of terror. But when Iran attacks it, oh my God, they'll tell you, oh, why are you attacking the countries? They're attacking American terror hubs. That's what they're attacking. That's what the situation is. Don't try and twist things around. Some people try and twist things around. So clearly it's only escalating through the night now with these attacks happening. So again, the recent reports that a UK base in Cyprus was attacked just after Starmer confirmed that he will be allowing the United States to use British bases to attack Iran. The Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, the IRGC, said that they targeted 3 oil tankers that refused to adhere and listen to our warnings in the Hormuz Strait. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen in the stock market tomorrow. Did Trump think that he's going to be finishing and wrapping this up over the weekend? You know, we were speaking about him liking to start attacks over the weekend to avoid any stock problems before this began last week. Was he thinking that he can kind of sort this out in 2 days? Was he that delusional? Potentially. Now, let's see if more information is coming out now in relation to this recent attack on Israel. Because the Iranian side said that they had another wave, and Israel is still killing innocent people in Iran, by the way. So over 150 schoolgirls on attack on 3 girls. I mean, it isn't strange, isn't it? The Epstein regime that traffics children and rapes girls, American and non-American, and then kill them in satanic rituals, who do that for depraved Zionists who view them as goyim who are below them, and everyone needs to be subservient to them and surrender and kneel down to them and worship them. It's not surprising, really. But where is the coverage about that? Where's the coverage about that 150 Iranian girls, elementary girls who went to school and were blown to pieces by American and Israeli forces? Or does that not bother you? Where did your slogans about protecting Iranian women go away all of a sudden? Weren't you talking to us 24/7 about fabricated stories of a woman was killed in a protest in Iran and this and that? What's happening exactly? Why aren't you talking about the girls being killed? So what's now coming in is that this attack is going on now. In Iran, of course, after the martyrdom of the supreme leader, there was a new leadership, temporary leadership council, an interim leadership council, and the second meeting of that interim council was convened in the presence of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, the head of the judiciary, Mohseni Ijai, and council member Ayatollah Arafi, who some people are saying might be the next supreme leader, could be again, but there's a multi-layered approach with electing the supreme leader because many people are ignorant about how it works in Iran. Some people are selling, oh, we killed the Ayatollah. It doesn't work like that, you stupid fool. There's a system in place in Iran. There's an institution. There are institutions, organizations, group of people, multiple decision-making, shura council, an active democracy, unlike your fake democracies, more like elected dictatorships who save and protect pedophiles, who kidnap children and rape them, and then chop them to pieces and eat their intestines on the Epstein Islands. Iran isn't like that. Your countries are like that. That's the Epstein regime for you and everyone there. That's not Iran. But today they had a meeting as part of following up on the developments and managing the transitional phase. These were some of the images that were posted today by the Iranian media. This is the head of the judiciary in Iran. This is the Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian. And this is Ayatollah Arafi, who again, some people consider to be a potential next Ayatollah. By the way, I'd like to tell people, within Iran, to get the title Ayatollah, they have multiple levels, or Ayatollah al-Uzma, you need a lot of education to get there. You know, some people don't really know what's behind that. And this man has been a student in some of the most important religious places in Iran since the age of 11. The supreme leader gave him the option to lead Friday prayers since he was 33 years old. Some people don't know exactly what's behind these things. Very well-educated people that you're talking about, based on so many levels, sincere in their action and their work. Unlike the Western democracy that we're used to in so many parts of Western countries, not all of them, of course. But I mean, let's talk about the main one, the United States of America, where a foreign lobby can buy a politician and then plant him to buy the presidency, and then he can go and use his people as cannon fodder to attack other nations and do all sorts of atrocities because they blackmail him because of how corrupt he is, how depraved he is, how vile he is by raping girls and kidnapping them with Epstein and all of these things. That's not Iran. That's the United States administration, not Iran. The Iranian establishment is on a much higher level than what many people think. And there's a very big chance, by the way, that they will come to a conclusion on having a leader sometime soon. But according to the Iranian constitution, this will have to, of course, take its toll. It's, you know, you're going to have, not take its toll, it's going to have to be a procedure happening here according to the Iranian constitution that would later lead to either the election of a new supreme leader or a continuation of the transition council, so long as it's required. And again, based on the needs, which indicates again that the establishment is exceptionally solid at the end of the day, and much stronger than what the mainstream media wants to portray it to be like. Iran just published more images of their air defense systems that are actually functional properly, unlike the failed Israeli interception systems, air defense systems, of their air defense systems intercepting an Israeli drone in the area of Khurramabad. These were some of the recent images that came from Iran in what's visibly either an Israeli drone or UAV being targeted in that location. Now, as I mentioned before, Iran reportedly, they confirmed that they took down over 22 drones and UAVs coming from Israel and the United States. Again, contrary to with the statements that you know, you've been hearing about, oh, their air defense systems are not really working and they don't hit anything with Israel. We're seeing the missiles landing in Israel, and we're seeing all of the attacks being successful from Iran through all of the waves of the attacks. And we're seeing a huge failure coming from Israel in relation to the operations that are happening and the acts of terrorism and aggression against Iran and the Iranian people. Tasnim news agency in Iran said that 6 senior CIA officials were killed and 2 were wounded in a missile attack that targeted their location where they were based in the UAE. Again, Tasnim news agency says that 6 senior CIA officials were killed and 2 were wounded in a missile attack that targeted their location where they were in the UAE. This is just coming now from the reports from Tasnim news agency. And this is the previous missile that landed in Jerusalem that Israel failed to intercept. Now, so far, I mean, I believe we covered literally every single thing that took place, or the majority of things, the majority of the videos as well, and news and reports that happened in the second half of the second day of True Promise 4 and the attacks that are taking place, the response attacks coming from Iran against the Epstein regime and the apartheid regime's aggression against Iran. And I hope I, had an all-round coverage. From my perspective, I gave you everything that I had in terms of info, and we'll wrap it up for tonight. Thank you so much for everyone who sent supers. I believe I thanked you and showed your thanks on the screen. I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much for that. As usual, I will be with you hopefully in the next coming days, should this continue at the same level, twice a day, with hopefully 2 live streams, one in the morning or daytime and one in the evening time or nighttime, simply because it's going to be more possible to cover everything like that. And I may or may not have clips of what I do, but I would highly recommend you just watch the live streams, because that's where everything lies. And I might not necessarily have the time to have, different clips of what I do. If you're new to the channel, again, I usually post videos and live streams, but because of the nature of the situation we're in now, it's going to be mostly live streams to cover exactly what's happening. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to another show. Make sure you subscribe to NewsV Pro to get all of the information, and visit our store if you like merch or anything. If you would like to support the channel, all of the links are in the description box. In the meantime, everyone, stay blessed, take care, and I will see you soon in the next video. Peace, everyone. Salam. Right now, misinformation spreads faster than facts, especially on the most sensitive global stories. NVP uses uncensored AI analysis to verify the most controversial topics and separate signal from propaganda in real time. Instead of guessing who to trust, you can see structured verification and analysis behind every major issue.
Ladies and gentlemen.